Hello YouTubers, this is the Scribe and thank you for watching this YouTube video. So if you've been looking at the news lately and online things, you will have heard about a submarine that has gone to the bottom of the ocean to have a look at a graveyard, which is the Titanic, and to explore it somehow. I mean, people are interested in some strange shit, but if you want to do that, that's fine. Just leave me out of it. So, personally, I wouldn't want to do that. There's many dangers at the bottom of the ocean, including big fucking fish and squids and stuff like that. And years ago they used to say that squids didn't exist. Like 35-meter squids or whatever it is didn't exist, and then they found out actually they do. So the captains of these ships that were getting sunk and or partially sunk, and they somehow survived, and they were talking about giant squids and octopuses, were actually telling the truth. In fact, the largest animal that's ever existed is still alive in the sea, which is, of course, I think it's the blue whale, isn't it? You think about the largest dinosaur. This thing makes it look like a little turnip, like a little mouse to an elephant, basically. I mean, these things are massive, and they still exist under the sea. So that's one reason why I don't like diving in big fucking oceans, especially thousands upon thousands of feet. I mean, basically, these guys have gone down to the same level as a mountain, which I think is 100% crazy. If you have any self-respect for your life, don't do that. Well, I mean, it depends. If the submarine is good, and it's exciting and it's made properly, not to the level they are today, but it's made in some type of super futuristic kind of way, then maybe I might try it. But at the moment, I mean, there's nothing that would convince me to go down to the fucking bottom of the ocean. I mean, what, to see the seabed, the ocean bed? No thanks. Or to see some scary fucking fish? No thank you. But here's the thing, right? Let's talk about survivability. What's their chances of surviving? Do you think they survived? How would they survive? Well, let's have a think about this. You guys can get involved in the comment section and see what you actually think is happening and what will be the final outcome of all this. So, survivability. There was a guy who survived for 3 days under the sea. It was 100 feet below, and his name was Harrison. Now, if I can just pull him up here. Harrison O'Keen. He was on a little boat. It capsized and it sunk 100 feet into the sea. And then divers went down and found him alive after 3 days. The hunt for his crew had already stopped by then, because everybody assumed he was dead, as they are today with this crew who have gone down to the ocean to see their Titanic. Everybody is assuming they're dead. Are they? I don't know, because in this situation where this guy went under the water, his boat didn't have oxygen making devices. Their submarine does, but it has a power problem. It can only do it for so long, right? It's only designed to do it for so long, because power eventually fades on these things, of course. They haven't got loads and loads of batteries that last for years, for instance. I mean, that's basically what you would need to survive in a situation on the sea. It's something that could survive for years. Well, then you would have a chance of actually getting out. Maybe. So, what's the chance of survival? Well, there's a couple of things to mention. Has the submarine managed to surface? Because it can actually do that. And if the answer is yes, then maybe the submarine has been blown away by the underwater currents, and then the waves and stuff above the ocean. So it's a possibility they could be like 50 or 100 miles away already and completely, cast out to sea. And it's a very small machine basically to find in such a big ocean. So that's a possibility. And even then, the survivability of that is still quite low, but at least you have access to open air. That's not too bad. Uh, you have access to seeing some beautiful scenery, finally. And then you've also got access to fish, I suppose, and water. There's plenty of water in the ocean. I mean, people say, "Oh, we're running out of water." I mean, they should be dropped in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean, and you'll find out how much water there actually is. So, yeah, if the machine has managed to be surfaced and they've somehow been drifted away somehow, then the chances of survival are much higher. And I suppose that some of them are quite smart, so they would figure out ways of actually surviving. I mean, I wouldn't like to be in that situation, for instance. I mean, with some crazy fuckers trying to eat you and stuff like that. I mean, it's just not my kind of cup of tea. Another thing to consider is if they are still at the bottom of the ocean, still alive. It's a possibility. I mean, people survive some weird shit. How could they survive? Well, one thing is the cold could actually reduce the basal metabolic rate, meaning that they could survive with less oxygen, but they would actually eventually just drift off to a coma or something. I mean, it is a horrible way to actually die, suffocating over a long period of time in what would be cold and heat. I mean, you basically be drowned in CO2 first, and I suppose it's also some of it's like being on the top of a mountain, like Mount Everest, and you can't breathe, and then eventually your brain swells up, and then you just die. That's one thing that could actually happen to them. So another thing that could have happened already, I hate to be the bearer of this kind of news, is that some sick fuck on the sub just thought, well, there's only so much oxygen we have here, and if I get rid of 4 of them, just somehow let them out of a hatch somewhere. Let's say there's like a little room where you can get let out of the hatch and go whoops, and they all start floating up to the surface of the ocean, and you're stuck on this like little boat at the bottom, like a little submarine, but you're still alive and they're not. But now you've got enough oxygen to last for a number of days, and also maybe less carbon dioxide to worry about as well, and maybe less power to worry about as well, because you could also, they don't need as much power, there's less people playing with their stupid iPhones on these submarines while you're all bloody dying. I don't think that would actually happen, by the way. I don't think somebody's going to be still messing around with iPhones and stuff like that. Maybe they'll be trying to use their iPhones and gadgets to actually power this device, this submarine somehow. So yeah, I mean, how could you survive in that situation? I can't consider an idea to actually do. I mean, I know that they could, if you let some bodies out, like off the submarine, maybe the submarine start floating up to the surface because it weighs less. There's some sick ideas of how to survive this. And what else could you do? I mean, fucking hell. It's one of those situations where you're just fucked. You're just fucked. You've gone to the bottom of the ocean, you made a big mistake, and you're just hoping for the kindness of the hearts of other people at the surface to try to pull you out. And then you realise that most people are just fascinated by the story and just don't give a shit. So you're at the bottom of the ocean with nothing to fucking do, and you've killed your other 4 crew members, you let them out on the hatch, and your boat is starting to drift up to the top of the surface because now it weighs less. I mean, that's probably the best way of doing it. And as it starts to drift up, like 1 meter an hour, so it's going to take you around about 7 years to get to the surface. It's so fucked up. I mean, there's no way to survive it. However, do I think they survived? I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, some of these stories they seem to be a bit strange. I mean, if they do survive, I'm gonna start thinking this is practically all made fucking up. So I'm gonna put a prediction out there. They survive it, and the people reporting it just make up a bunch of stories about how they survived this and how great these billionaires are. that's that's probably what happens. Yeah, I mean, they just make this story up. I mean, that's the best way of surviving something. Something that you actually didn't do. Yeah, like I survived a big free fall from 7 miles up because it never fucking happened. That's the only way to survive it. Something like a story, that some like a mermaid came. That's a way of surviving it. Or dolphins came and they lifted us up out of the sea. Why are we killing sea life? Maybe it's something to help sea life. I don't know. I mean, there's many ways they could actually make this story up. I actually don't know. I don't know what to expect with this story. One thing I do know is to actually go down to the bottom of the sea is one fucking crazy thing to do.